Hi everyone, Karen Conrad here. This is day 14 in our Promise of Purpose devotional. So just to give you a little background of what this is about is I actually have a 60-day devotional that's going to be coming out called the Promise of Purpose devotional, but it's not coming out to the end of the year. And I wanted to give you a sneak peek, so we chose 21 days just for you to be able to give you a little guidance along the way as you read the Promise of Purpose. Today, we are in chapter 8 from the Promise of Purpose, and this is tools that help you, practical tools, to walk out and live out your purpose. Do you know, I'm really committed to practical implementation in things that you and I can take and do. I love being inspired, and you've heard me say this a lot. I love it. But when I leave or I read a book or leave a meeting, I want to know how I can take that information and I can apply it in my life. And so that's why this is just a very practical book. And of course, everything is a foundation of scripture. So we want to go through and give you those key scriptures that's going to guide you on your journey for the promise of purpose. Today is a good one. I think many of us can relate to this. Are you ready for your declaration? Here it is. I will not grow weary in doing well. I will influence and attract others with enthusiasm. I will be a change maker in my sphere. Notice this doesn't say if I feel like it, right? These are things that we're called to do despite what our feelings and emotions say. And here's a scripture that I think is really going to help us in this area. It's Galatians 6, 9 through 10, and I'm reading it in the ESV. It says this, "And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. So then, as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, and especially to those who are of the household of faith." Galatians 6, 9, and 10. Wow, this is powerful. Do you know there are times in our life that we feel like we're doing what God's called us to do, and we are, but we can feel like giving up. I've been at that place a lot in my life, and sometimes I have given up early and looked back and thought, wow, I should have stayed with it. But you know, once you grab hold of this concept, it actually carries you through those times where you feel like, oh my goodness, nothing's coming out of this. There's something that helps me remember, like, wait. I want to think about this before I give up. God, what do you have in this for me? There was a guy that would come to our church when I went to Living Word in Minneapolis. His name is Chip Brim. And I really enjoyed his ministry. And he had this analogy that has stayed with me after all these years. And he was just sharing that a lot of times as we're walking out God's plan or purpose in our life, we want to give up. But really, if we knew we were at the 1 yard line, if you picture a football field, you go all the way down and you have 1 yard to go. But sometimes that's where the most intense pressure is. Well, we don't always know where in our journey that we are. But based on my experience, when I start to feel pressure to give up, I have learned that I am close to an incredible breakthrough. And I think that's why a lot of times that's where the pressure comes. Where if we do what this scripture says and we don't get weary, we can know that we're going to see the end result that God put in our heart and that we desire if we just don't give up. Isn't that encouraging? In Principles for Success, whether it's business related or personal, being like one that doesn't give up, you might say persevering or going through those tough times and not quitting is a character trait that you and I need to develop. Because anytime we move forward in our purpose, maybe we start to gain more responsibility, more influence, we have more people report to us, whatever that might be, we are going to have to continue to learn how to handle the pressure of the world. And there's going to be a temptation to give up. But as we kind of gather this strength as we go through the little things, then when we get to that point that God has called us to be, the place that He has intended for us in every season of our life, we are going to be able to withstand pressure. And this is a very, very important thing. Another tool that goes along with this is to do it with enthusiasm. Even when our emotions don't feel enthusiastic, when we're leaders, when we go into a room, people are looking to us. We carry the presence of God. Are we enthusiastic? Have you ever worked for somebody that had a bad attitude? They had a lack of enthusiasm and noticed like, wow, I'm just not motivated at all to do my job because my boss isn't motivated. They're not even happy to be here. Versus working for a boss that you know, even though they're under a lot of pressure, that they are enthusiastic about what they're doing, and that makes me want to follow that person. You know, this is something as parents and grandparents, we have a wonderful opportunity to show enthusiasm for the Lord in the life that we lead in our children and grandchildren. We can set an example by just being a light and enthusiastic. It will make a lasting impression in those around us. So here's our activation for today, and this is where you get your journal out, and you can order the Promise of Purpose journal on my website and get the package, or I've got like a bundle number 2. If you've already got the book, maybe you ordered it from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or picked it up through my website alone. You can actually get the journal, a mug, the Promise of Purpose, a pen, the declaration, and a bookmark, and follow along with the video devotionals that we're doing with this journal. So go ahead and get your journal out or get a piece of paper out, and this is the question that we're going to ask. Do you remember a time when you knew the atmosphere needed to change in your office? And were you able to make that atmosphere change? And then journal about a day where you maybe had a lot of meetings, whether it's in person or online, which we're doing a lot today, and include your thoughts on how each meeting could have gone differently with a little enthusiasm, maybe from the person that was leading it, maybe from you, or maybe from some of our coworkers. Here's our declaration for today. I will not grow weary in doing well. I will influence and attract others with enthusiasm. I will be a change maker in my sphere. So go ahead and download the written part of this devotional by clicking on the button below. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time as we go into day 15 of the Promise of Purpose 21-day devotional.